All right, hello and welcome to Eating Bacon with Bobtheorc. It is September 12th, 2021, and I just got back from picking up my buddy from the jail up in Oklahoma City. And sitting here with Matty. Everybody else has gone to bed because it's stupid o'clock in the morning. It's what? Well, it's 5:30 in the morning now. And so I thought we'd talk and hang out for a little bit while playing some Mech 5, and we'll just get to it. So the story goes that I guess apparently he was he used to work for me, and there's certain customers that I just won't deal with, and so he thought he'd make some money on the side by going and doing some work with those customers, and they turned out to be kind of unsavory people, and he'd get into trouble and more trouble and more trouble. So eventually he learned his lesson and said, "Okay, I'm not going to do business with you anymore." Well, apparently they found him and were trying to force him to unlock some dubious laptops or something, and he refused, and they got into some sort of a fight, and stuff happened, and they ended up in jail. So, who the hell knows? But it occurred to me as I was driving back that one of the reasons he finds himself into such constant trouble is he'd gotten himself into some minor trouble with the law a while back, and he never dealt with it. And once you're in the system, then you just get screwed over and over again because you become the easy target. And I don't know if it's the same way like that in Australia, but certainly here, once you're... I remember when I got a speeding ticket in college and I didn't fight it, I just paid the bill. They figured out that I was easy pickings, and they would just nail me over and over again on any little thing. And now I'm at the point where anytime there's even any question about anything legal, I just lawyer up and I'll fight it tooth and nail, even if I have to take out a loan or go into debt, because I'm not going to screw around with these kinds of people. What's your experience like, Matty? You've got kind of a interesting legal situation going on in Australia, from what I hear.
Yeah, I'm in a prison camp.
Well, I mean, you get the hell out of there.
Yeah, well, what you're saying is true. Once you're on the police radar, it's really hard to get off it again. Because, once you're busted for one thing, they know you're into that kind of stuff, and they know that you hang around people who do that sort of stuff. So you're sort of like a beacon for them to keep going, because the more arrests they get, the better they look.
Well,
So they know you're up to stuff, and they know that people around you are up to stuff.
well, and a lot of the reason my buddy gets in trouble is just because he hangs around the wrong people. So when they break the law, he just gets swept up with them. And
That's exactly what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Is his friends are beacons, he's a beacon. So when they come, they get to arrest, like, instead of one person, they get to arrest four people.
exactly. Well, and it's
See,
just,
see, what people need to understand is, like, when people are addicted to drugs, the hardest part isn't getting off the drugs. It's to stop hanging out with these people. Because you've gotten rid of all your normal friends.
Yeah.
And you don't know what normal people do anymore.
well, it's the same reason I can't hang out with my friend anymore, because of all the idiots he hangs out with, and I can't let them drag me down.
No, you just can't hang out with them anymore because it's not worth the hassle.
I still care about him. I'll pick him up and give him a ride, but I can't be around. I've got too much going on in my life. I'm not going to go risk things, risk getting dragged down, and and it's not fair to everybody else who's dependent on me either. But I don't know how he gets out of his situation at this point. There's really kind of a two-tier justice system, because the
The thing
court,
is, he can't.
yeah,
Can't get out of it.
the courts just want to make their money, and if you don't have enough money to fight, then they're going to keep you in trouble. So you're constantly. I mean, he's paid thousands of dollars into the system at this point, and he's poor. he barely can afford anything, and all of his money's going towards legal fees. He's screwed.
Yep.
And the system's just going to keep chewing him up and spitting him out until he's done.
Because the police get all these charges, he's got no money to fight it, so they stick.
Yeah.
So it makes them look good.
Yeah.
The judges get to say, "Look, I've incarcerated these people." The prison system loves it.
Oh yeah. Well, and if you're rich and you can afford the lawyers, then you can get out of a lot of stuff. I mean, this is something I observed. Look at the OJ trial and all these high-profile cases where people were accused of really nasty stuff, and if they didn't have all the legal support, they would have been really hosed. And this is one of the reasons why I keep. I built up my credit. I was fortunate enough to build up my credit. Let's go for the mission thing first before we do the main deal. I built up a lot of credit, and so I keep a large credit card on file, specifically for the purpose of paying for lawyers. I got into some beef with the city of Norman over a roof repair a number of years ago, and it turned into a legal fight. And I spent about 3 or 4 times as much money fighting the system as I did just on the roof itself. We're being chased by a light mech, but we'll fight it closer to the whatever the resources that we have to pick up. I went into debt for a couple of years, spending an obscene amount of money, just because I didn't want to pay a $500 fine to the city, because they were all like, "Oh, well, you filed a building permit in metric, you're going to go to jail." And I'm like, "That's bullshit." And I fought it a little bit, and they said, "Well, we'll let you off the hook if you pay a $500 fine." And I knew if I paid that fine, they'd start fining me for all kinds of stuff, and I'd be their bitch. And so I think I spent like $10,000 or $20,000 filing a First Amendment lawsuit against the city, and eventually won, just so they'd quit screwing with me for the future. Because you're not just fighting that one fight, you're fighting every future fight as well. Oh, there's a lot of bad stuff here. Are you back fighting that assault mech?
I'm gonna Vulcan up my butt.
Are you able to handle it, or do you need me to come get you?
Yeah, I got it.
Because looks like there's an assault mech or something. I'm gonna go for the resource. But yeah, you just can't dick around with this kind of stuff. And what got my friend in trouble was he screwed around, like 10 years ago, 6 years ago, however long it was, with some minor thing. And there's a. Let's see if I can get the resource before these guys get me. Now he's just their bitch. And
he got on their radar in the first place.
What's the Chinese curse? Not the "May you live in interesting times," but the next one. It's like, "May you come to the attention of the authorities."
Yeah, something like that.
It's something just terrible. Which in China, that's some serious shit if you come to the attention of the authorities.
Oh shit, yeah.
But even here in America, you're gonna get hosed. All right, so we got an assault mech there. I don't like what you're doing, Mr. Atlas. I want you to sit back somewhere. I need to find line of sight where I want you to sit. I think I want you to sit right there. We're just gonna go gun this guy down. Oh, that's a PPC. Ow. Little bastard. So, I don't Now, in his situation, I don't know what he can do because he doesn't have the money to fight all this. He's got a real mess on his hands. And I think this is why the system always adversely affects the poor people much more than anybody with money, because...
Definitely.
Yeah, because when you're busy just trying to make it, you don't have... oh, there's stuff behind us. You know, when you're busy just trying to make a living, you don't have the means to deal with all the court dates and all the jump through all the hoops and stuff. Oh, I found more salvage right by this Vulcan that's trying to poke me in the pooper. Oh, I missed his center torso. Got a lot of him. There's like tanks and all kinds of stuff attacking me. That got him. Alright. Let's go pick up this thing. Alright. We got some stuff. So, you know, what do you do? And
destroy the place?
Well, I mean, what are you doing in real life? You can't destroy the place in real life. I mean, I guess you could.
I mean this mission.
Yeah. So, you know, not unless you have some big money people to bail you out of jail.
You know, they know that he hangs out with these people, so they're never going to get out of his ass.
Oh yeah, well,
he needs to get out of town, and that's no two ways about it.
Right. Well, and he can't get out of town because he has to stick around for his court dates, so he's sort of doubly screwed.
Yeah, and that could take years.
Yeah, no, he's pretty hosed. And so the real moral of the story is if you don't proactively deal with all this stuff, you know, once you fall in with the wrong crowd, it's a huge mess.
Yeah, the first time you get rumbled, you've got to stay low for a year, for at least 2 years.
Well, when I had my problem with my speeding tickets in college, I think I had to avoid getting a speeding ticket for at least 3 years just to let it fall off my record, and that was hard enough. But you know, when you're dealing with all this other stuff, you know, and he'll be on probation for a while, and all the, you know, how do you deal with that? And then you have to deal with all of your, you know, these people are looking for him. You know, his idiot friends that he's trying to avoid. You know, they're all looking for him because they want him to do favors and whatnot.
He needs to get out of town.
Yeah.
It's like he needs to get far enough for like, because you know he wouldn't be going to court every week.
I think he has to do some sort of a community sentencing thing. You know, his mom got him a lawyer for some of the trouble that he was in, and he's got some sort of community sentencing thing where he has to go through like various community service programs that he has to do here in Norman like 3 times a week and stuff. So it's sort of a big deal because he's going to be stuck for a while. Uh-oh. I think that Atlas just lost, I think our Atlas just screwed up. That's a medium laser. Alright.
He took a lot of shots to the back.
Yeah, because the NPCs are stupid.
It's because they got surrounded. And I didn't notice that he got surrounded. I was too busy destroying the base.
Alright, so...
You didn't notice they were surrounded either.
Yeah, no, I was busy stomping through things. That's okay, we've got more medium lasers. As long as
yeah, but he's probably lost double heat sinks as well.
No, he doesn't have any heat sinks in there.
Alright.
He's all engine heat sinks. So I'll finish squishing the base. You make sure that the guys stay alive. I'll just walk through all their buildings. Man, this would be so much fun. It's like attending a mostly peaceful protest with battle mechs.
That's the thing. Like this is, when they were burning their own city. They were burning the city to the ground, and a whole heap of these were, minority-owned businesses.
Yeah.
What they don't realise is, not only has that person lost their business, but in the American system, they've also lost their access to lawyers and everything else. Like if their son gets in trouble now,
oh yeah, they're hosed.
They're hosed, and and this is the real problem with both our justice systems. There's so many laws on the books, with so many ways to get out of it that the average person doesn't know, and a lot of lawyers can't keep up either of all these precedences. So if you've got an army of like 6 lawyers looking into your stuff, they'll generally find a precedence that will let you off.
Yeah.
But if you don't have the money for that,
oh, you're screwed.
You're fucked.
Yeah. Once you suffer economic damage, like one of the things they're talking about with all the COVID stuff, they're like, oh well, we're just trying to save lives. Saving lives is more important than the economy. But what a lot of these people don't realize is once the economy goes down, if you lose your livelihood, you're effectively losing 10 years, 20 years off your life, just all the time it takes for you to gain those resources so you can raise a family or hire a lawyer to defend yourself. You're just screwed. And it's very hard to
It takes
to get
like
back.
10 years to get a business up and running.
Oh yeah. Oh,
so
yeah.
so they've lost 10 years of their lives.
Yeah.
And
so that's the real tragedy in all the wasted time and lives lost.
They have no salvage at all.
No, not very good salvage. We're just doing this just for that mission mostly. We have how many points? We got 15 points of salvage. We could do. We just grab these 2 things, get some money. That's probably good enough. So, and we didn't take too much damage. I mean, the Atlas got busted up, but
all the structure and a medium laser.
Yeah, we'll see how bad the Atlas is.
All structure and a medium laser.
Yeah, so that's not bad at all. All right, well, so we're gonna go play our game, and I just wanted to have kind of a quick little thing about the importance of preparing for all the legal problems that are involved in modern society. And
really, but in this case, we're looking at stage 2. Really, you should be looking at stage 1.
Yeah.
Of not getting into this situation in the first place.
Oh yeah.
And I think one of the key things people need to learn is how to interact with police, because this is his job. It's a shitty job that I don't think many people could do themselves. Everyone's always lying to them. They're dealing with the scum of society. Your interaction will make the difference.
Yeah.
Like they have every ability and every option just to let you off. That should be your first choice.
Yeah, or they can try and screw you over if you piss them off.
Yeah. Don't make them angry. Don't argue with them. Don't resist. Tell them what they need to know without getting yourself in trouble. Like, don't give them information that will get you in trouble.
Well, and keep your...
Be polite. And one of the things one of the key things, because I've had lots of interactions with the police because I keep doing stupid shit. Right? Make it so the job isn't a hassle.
Yeah.
One of the this is a psychological thing, is find something that you've got, just have a conversation with him, like a general conversation about other things, like just while they're talking to you, you talk to me, other things, like there was a time, recently, when I had an interaction with the police, and I was just having a chat, and then we started talking about gaming.
Yeah. Yeah, because they were interrupting you in the middle of one of our games.
So I talked to him about, computer games. He goes, "Oh, I play Warzone." I go, "Oh, that's pretty cool. I haven't played that one yet." But when I did that, I made a personal interaction with him. That makes so much of a difference. Like, it's like he wants to go home. He doesn't want to argue with me. He doesn't want to get angry because it stresses him out.
Yeah.
But I made myself a person, not just a number. Like, oh yeah, that guy was pretty cool. And we left, we parted ways, and there was no problem at all. Because I made myself a person to him. Another example is when I lived with Fergo, I used to hang out around with this crazy chick, the name that shall not be mentioned.
Right.
And one time, we got really drunk. I was trying to give her water, to sober her up. And she just started screaming and yelling at me like I was trying to murder her. Well, my neighbors called the police because they thought it was a domestic violence thing. And I opened the door, right? But instead of having an argument with him, I opened the door laughing, and they said to me, "Oh, we got a domestic disturbance here." And I laughed. I go, "Yeah, she wasn't my girlfriend at the time, but I just said it just to make it more, sociable."
Make it easy, yeah.
Yeah, I just said my girlfriend got really drunk, and I was just trying to get her to drink water, and she's acting like I was trying to poison her. And because I was laughing when I said it, it sort of made them realize that no, he wasn't beating the crap out of her. He was just trying to give her water.
Well,
but if I'd opened that door and said, "What the fuck are you doing here? I've got rights. You can't just," you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
we would have got their hackles up, and I would have had a problem. But because I opened the door, laughed, there, "Oh man, I was just trying to give her water," and just fucking, just said, "Women, eh?" And made a joke of it. My interaction with the police was 5 minutes long. You know what I mean? They came, they saw there wasn't a problem, they left straight away. The quicker you can get them to leave, the better.
Oh yeah. Well, because you never know what kind of bullshit's going on, and they could also just be having a bad day, and that's something that a lot of people also don't realize. But I don't know. In my experience, I mean, I tend to lawyer up pretty quickly because I've been burnt enough times that I don't trust what's going to happen.
But I have gotten away and been let go so many times. So many times.
Yeah,
I feel like I'm like a catch and release person that they make a joke at the police station.
Yeah, see, that doesn't. Yeah, I don't have that experience. I always have to fight my way out of it tooth and nail. I mean, I have a bunch of lawyers that I keep on retainer. Luckily, one of the county's district attorney used to be a customer of mine when he was the district attorney. Now that he's in private practice, he's a criminal defense lawyer. So I try and keep on good terms with all the lawyers in town. Defense lawyers, civil litigators, patent attorneys. Just anything, because you never know what kind of bullshit you're gonna run into. And you just have to be ready to fight your way out of stuff, I think.
Yeah, but that's, as I said, stage 2. Stage 1 is your first initial interaction.
Yeah.
If you can make that a pleasant or not a pain in the ass situation, I reckon 9 times out of 10 you'll get away with whatever you're doing.
I don't know about 9 times.
Within reason, if you've killed someone, of course, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, I don't know about 9 times out of 10, but it'll certainly go better for you.
I have personally seen things escalate from something that it could have been just, we had a chat, the police left, done and dusted. But one of my friends who I don't hang out with, probably like your friend, just caused so much shit for this police officer, making his life difficult. He got all of us arrested because we went fishing. I went fishing with him and he managed to get us all arrested.
I find
something that could have just gone easy.
Yeah, I find that here in America, when the cops, depending on the interaction, if it's anything involving a vehicle, your options generally come down to pay a fine or go to jail. I haven't.
No,
I
car
haven't
offences are totally different things.
Yeah.
Speeding, fines, all that. That's just a fine. You're just gonna get fined. There's nothing you
Yeah.
can do about it.
Well, even if it or just anything, I've been in. I got a speeding ticket while sitting at a stoplight because they said I was speeding, and while I was stopped at a stoplight, and what the hell do you do? That's the one that got me in trouble in college originally, because I was sitting in bumper to bumper traffic, and the cop was just first day of school, and the cop was just going down the line, just handing out speeding tickets while everybody was stopped in bumper to bumper traffic at the stoplight. So, sometimes you just get really
I can't
shitty
imagine
cuffs.
that happening in Australia.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's one of the problems that sometimes small town police can be. I don't know if you're an out of state college student. Certainly once I got older, it wasn't as much of a problem, but whenever the cops get called to your house, well, you don't want the cops getting called to your house. I had an incident once where animal control was called to my house because some lady accused my dog of biting her, and I was polite and was able to resolve it. But I also I was very stern that I wasn't going to that they weren't going to be taking my dog. We could quarantine the dog at my place, but there was no way that my dog was leaving the house because I wasn't going to have some crazy animal control guy go kill my dog. It's situational. I mean, the best thing to do is just stay below the radar and don't interact in the first place. Don't have a police interaction in the first place.
The best thing is not to have the interaction in the first place.
Yeah.
Second part is be respectful. Don't lose your temper. Don't yell at them. Be nice. Try and get the policeman to think that you're a person and not just a number.
Right, because as long as you don't go to jail, you can always clean up the system. You can always clean up the mess later with a lawyer.
Yes. But once you're in lockup, your options are gone.
Yeah, because then they'll try and squeeze you to get you on whatever charges they can. They'll try and get you to do some sort of plea deal.
And they'll overcharge you.
Yeah.
They'll hit you, instead of hitting you with one thing, they'll hit you with 20 different charges.
Yeah. Well, and that's a lot of what happened with my friend when he originally went to jail. What should have been a misdemeanor, he got hit with a felony because he couldn't afford a lawyer. He got a court-appointed attorney, which those guys usually just don't give a shit. And, his mom wasn't willing to step in and hire a lawyer at the time for him. And he was just boned.
That's the first time anyone gets in trouble with the law is the one time you lawyer up the most.
Oh, yeah.
And his mum fucked him up there. And
well, I don't think she understood either quite the severity of the situation, but and it's also important that your lawyer know the judge. It's like one of the reasons that I use the guy who used to be the district attorney as my defense lawyer whenever I get in trouble, is because he knows all the local judges. And and it's different if you're in like a federal situation, but if you're in a local situation, you want that local judge who can negotiate, or the local lawyer who can negotiate with the judge. And because a lot of times they know each other from poker night or golf or whatever they're doing, and they can just work some backroom deal behind the scenes.
They play golf together on the weekend.
Yeah, and
that's another reason. That's another reason why rich people get away with this shit too.
Oh yeah.
It's because it's a boys' club. They see each other at the golf course.
Yeah, and it's not supposed to work that way. But the reality is, these people know each other and they hang with each other. And if you have the connections, it's a good old boy system. If you've got the connections, then you can get away with all kinds of stuff just because they'll talk to the judge. Hey, I know this guy. He's not so bad. Cut me a break, and I'll make sure that it doesn't happen again, kind of thing.
Yeah, you can have 30,000 secret files in your bathroom, and acid wash your hard drives and beat them with hammers and not go to jail. But if your Joe Peasant takes a picture of himself at work on a submarine, They throw them in the clink for 20 years.
Well, that's on a federal level, and I'm not really talking about federal stuff because that's a whole nother ball game.
That's a classic example.
It is a classic.
Rules for thee, though not for me.
Well, the two-tier justice system at the federal level is really more about politics, and it's once again who you know, but it's more political. Whereas on the local level, where most people are going to be interacting with local police or county police, that's politics aren't usually so involved. It's not so much of a my team versus your team. It's just, does your lawyer play golf with the judge, and who do you know? And I've been fortunate. I've been able to get away with a lot of stuff. Well, I don't want to say get away with a lot of stuff because that's not really I've managed to avoid a lot of hassle. I make a point, especially with my business, to take care of people and be very generous and gracious to the community. Whenever there's community events, I always try and donate some time, or will try and, I try to build up that good public image, partly because it's my community and I want to help it out, but also because from a practical standpoint, if you become an integral member of the community, then when it comes to a he said, she said situation, if somebody tries to accuse me of something very crazy and I'm a respectable member of society, they're more likely to trust my words saying, no, I didn't, fight dogs. That's ridiculous. I love dogs. Everybody knows that I love dogs. And, oh yeah, we all know that he loves his dog, and he lets dogs into his office, and everybody's cool with him with his dogs. So yeah, of course there wouldn't be a problem with his dog. And so, that's one of the things that really helped me out, when my dog was accused of biting that lady, is that half the town knows my dog, and I've got like the coolest dog in town. He's super chill, and nobody believed that he would ever bite anybody because he wouldn't bite anybody. So, I don't think we're going to solve all this in one night, but I wanted to kind of just touch on this subject, just because it's a problem that a lot of people get into trouble with, especially poor people, especially minorities who don't necessarily have the social connections in their community. And you've got to build those social connections, and you've got to set aside a legal defense fund for whenever something bad happens, which is hard, especially when nobody has any money. But or at least make friends with a lawyer, trade favors. Most of as I in my adult life, I've learned that most of success in life really just comes down to who you know and who you're friends with.
Basically,
if you're friends with good people, they'll help you out and you'll help them out. And if you're friends with bad people, you'll just get dicked over all the time. And that's really the stark difference between my life and my friend's life. He hangs around with bad people, and a lot of people don't like him, so the world's always shitting in his swimming pool. And I try to be very generous to everybody. I try to take care of everybody, and so I have a good reputation, and it makes it more likely that I'll have a good outcome when I have an interaction with the police. And it sucks sometimes. I've had my fair share of problems with the police, and thankfully I've managed to avoid going to jail. Although I've been in a lot of trouble in the past. I lawyered up pretty big, and I was fortunate because that they figured out that I didn't actually do the stuff that I was accused of doing. But the world's a crazy place, and you have to be careful. And just any of these bad people, just filter them out of your life. Don't associate with them. Just let all their bullshit just be somewhere else, because otherwise it's going to drag you down.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
You are who you hang out with, and you are what you listen to.
Well, and it's not even just that, but you're going to be, that whole guilt by association holds a lot of truth to it. I mean, you're going to be judged by the people that you keep in your company. The people you hang with. That's how others are going to see you. You know, look at you. You live in Australia, so everybody just assumes that you're an asshole.
Asshole. And I'm proud of it.
So, well,
I'm an asshole for a good reason.
What's your good reason?
I've been like, I was a good person once, and I got burnt so many times, putting myself out there for people. You know, always helping friends and people who I thought needed help. But what happened was, because I kept helping them, they kept doing stupid shit. Because I kept bailing them out.
Well, there's a balance, I think. I think that you've got to take care of your own shit before you can help somebody else. Like they say in life-saving classes, you got to put on your own life vest first, because if you drown, you're not going to be able to save anybody else. And then when you do help people, what I find is, because I have people asking me for help all the time. It's one of the reasons I'm making these videos, to try and share some of the knowledge I've gained over the years. And what I find is that if the other person's not willing to help themselves, you're not going to get anywhere. You can only help people who are willing to help themselves. And you have to make them work for it. You can't just give it, you just can't just give it to them. Like in the case of my friend, I can't just, hire him the best lawyers in town and give him free place to live and free this and free that, because he'll never learn his lesson. He'll never, he's only just now figured out that maybe he ought to get a regular job instead of, doing under the table work for these scummy people.
For him, it's already too late.
Oh no, he's screwed. But, if you have to find a balance, and it's going to be a little bit different for everybody's situation, so I don't want to try and get too specific with it. But there's, I think that in all things in life, there's a certain balancing point where you don't want to do too much, you don't want to do too little, you want to be just right. And you've got to establish yourself, as somebody who is generous and who will help people, but not, you don't want to be a doormat. You don't want to be just a total pushover, and that's
because that doesn't help you.
Yeah, and my suspicion is you were probably too much of a pushover in the past. I certainly was, and I had to become a little bit of an asshole too. I if nothing else, I had to become stern. And so usually when I help people now, I'll put conditions on it. Not like bad conditions, but I'll I'll help, I'll help you with this thing if you get it, but you have to get a job. Or I'll help you with this thing, but you have to stop hanging around these people who are dragging you down. That's the condition that I put with my friend, that I'd help him if he stopped hanging around those people. And then when he didn't hang out with, when he kept hanging out with those people, there just wasn't much I could do, because I can't afford to be associated with that kind of person. So, I'll help you, but you've got to be willing to move out of that shitty situation that you're in.
Mm-hmm.
And, if somebody wants help but they refuse to leave the bad situation that they're in, they're never going to solve their problem. It's just a lost cause. And there are more people on this earth who need help than you have the means to help. So there's nothing wrong with picking and choosing who you help.
The thing that sucks most is sometimes you just have to give up on people.
Yeah.
And that really hurts.
Yeah. It hurts a lot.
But it's like it's a harsh lesson that I learned, is sometimes you just have to give up on people.
Well, you only have so much that you can do, and you have to make a choice. Are you going to put your resources and energy into helping somebody who's going to keep screwing up, or are you going to put your resources and energy into helping somebody who's going to take your help and run with it and really try and make something of themselves? And so you've got to, I try to help everybody a little bit, and the people who do something with it, I'll help a little bit more. And the people who really do something with it, I'll help a lot. And that's...
you got two types of people: people who are going to jam more holes in the lifeboat, and the people who will bail water with you.
Yeah.
And that's the thing.
And the people who are
'Cause
jamming holes in the lifeboat, you have to toss.
They can drag you down.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. I mean,
Like, just remember that that friend of yours. He could have come to your house. The police could have come looking for him, had a bad interaction, and your life would be completely different.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Well, I mean, one of the times that he screwed up, I did have the police come to my house. They came to my business. They came to my house. They were looking for him, and they probably cost me $1,000 worth of lost business just because they ran off all the customers in my store because they thought that they knew that he used to work for me, and they came and they raided my business looking for him, and I had no idea what was going on. And
all the shops around you thinking, what are the police doing at his house?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean,
and you don't want that.
Well, I mean, I know all the other business owners, so I can talk to them and say, hey, they were looking for a guy who used to work for me 5 years ago. But
which passerby doesn't know that.
Yeah,
they just see the police at your shop.
Yeah. Well,
and this is what I mean by just in their mere presence can drag you down. Because
fortunately, I have police in my shop all the time because police need their computers fixed too.
That's a given. But you really got to drum it into people.
But when you have like six police show up, then it looks weird.
Yeah, but your interaction with them, they think, oh, he's part of something sus.
Oh yeah. Well,
yeah, that's what I mean. And the police will watch you.
I think half the
and then they'll get you on something small, thinking that they can get you for something bigger later, and get something bigger later.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, this is why the when a long time ago when the city raised a big fuss over me filing a building plan in metric, I spent a lot of money fighting it in court. I mean, I sued the shit out of the city because I wasn't, I can't if I'm going to run a business here, I can't. The government should be scared of the people. The people should not be scared of the government. When the government's scared of the people, then you basically get left alone and you have freedom. When the people are scared of the government, they walk all over you. And so, I wanted to, and unfortunately, that's just the reality of it. This is why you've got to lawyer up and fight it tooth and nail, even if you have to take out a loan, even if you have to max out your credit cards. If you're going to get into any sort of trouble, you have to fight the hell out of it, even if it's a minor, especially if it's a minor charge. And it's like I was talking to, fortunately, my city council woman really came to bat for me, back when all that happened. And then later on, when I wanted to build a carport and the city building office tried doing the same thing again, I showed up to the city council meeting, and I told them that I had, I was going to sue them again if they didn't get their shit together. And since they knew that I went after them last time, we were able to negotiate a settlement, and they didn't, because they were trying to claim that I built my carport 6 inches too long or something like that. Which all my other neighbors have illegal carports in the neighborhood, so I don't know why they're just going after me. And and then my city councilwoman, who's now the mayor, kind of put a stop to all the bullshit.
Yeah, but it's because you're on the radar now.
Oh yeah. Well, and that's the other thing. Once you're on the radar, you've got to be public enough that they know not to mess with you. And unfortunately, I'll have to. Remain. Whenever you're an integral member of the community, once you're tied in with your community, you're going to be on the radar anyway. But you can be on the radar in a good way or in a bad way, and so I try to stay, on the good side of things. But you just can't screw around with this kind of stuff. If you make a mistake early on and you don't clean it up, then it could ruin your life for decades. I mean. So, anyway, that was kind of my thoughts on this subject. We need to get you out of that prison colony that you're stuck in also. You're trying to think of a response to that.
Yeah, it's just things will get better. The Australians have put up with a lot of things for a while, and then they snap like a fan belt.
Yeah, well, I heard that they're trying to take away y'all's beer and alcohol.
That was a serious mistake. You should see what's happening now.
What-
Everyone's just ignoring the lockdown. The beaches are packed. Everyone's walking around. No one gives a shit. They done goofed.
Yeah, well, that's sort of... I mean, authoritarians tend to overreact. That's the other thing, is that you've got to nip it in the bud quickly, whether it's a legal situation on a small scale or a legal situation on a big scale. You know, once a government thinks that they can get away with all this bullshit, you know, then you know, politicians are just going to follow the easy path. You know, if it looks like it's going to be easier to, you know, set a bunch of arbitrary rules and bypass the checks and balances and just do what they want, then they'll do it that way. And on the other hand, if the politicians think it's going to be easier to play by the rules because the population will cause a lot of trouble, you know, I mean, look at all the riots that happened last year in America. I mean, it sucked, but the rioters got what they wanted, you know. Government capitulated. And whether you agree with the riots or not, I know we're supposed to call them mostly peaceful protests, but the reality is that, you know, the rioting and nonstop coverage on TV, it got them what they wanted. Or at least a step in that direction, perhaps. And that's, you know, that's just the reality of the world. You know, these people in power are going to take the easy way out. It's the same reason why a lot of times the police officer will arrest somebody innocent just to defuse the situation, and because it's easier to arrest the one guy than it is to arrest the 30 angry people. Hey man, I'm going to arrest you. I'll take you back to the station. I'll let you out later. I'm just trying to defuse the situation. It sets a bad precedent, but you know, a lot of this is just the law enforcement, the politicians, the judicial system. They're going to take the easy way out. That's why they're always going for plea deals, because none of these guys want to fight it in court. You know, when I fought,
It takes up time.
yeah, because when I fought my problem in court, I wasn't trying to win. My express goal was to cost the city as much money as possible, because I knew I could cost them about 10 times as much money as it cost me. So for every $1,000 I spent, it cost them $10,000. For every $10,000 I spent, it cost them $100,000. And so what happened? Yeah, and so what happened was I tied them up in court, and then I sent a message through you know, back channel through my lawyer and through some of the police that I knew. To let the opposing attorney and to let the judge know that my goal was just to cost them as much as possible, and that I was going to try and bankrupt the city. And then they started negotiating, and then we were able to get it all settled out. So, you know, you just have to understand how the system works, and the system's not fair. It was never intended to be. I mean, it was supposed to be fair, but the reality is legal systems have never been fair. You know, legal systems are about keeping the peace and maintaining order, not so much about, you know, justice. You know, American system tries as best as it can, and I'm sure there's a lot of really good lawyers and judges out there and well-meaning police officers out there, but the reality is that, you know, when you have so much bullshit to deal with, you're just looking to maintain the peace and quiet, and they've got to answer to these politicians who only care about getting reelected. They just want peace and quiet. So, you know, be peaceful, be quiet, and you can avoid a lot of trouble when you have your interactions. Anyway, let's go wrap it up. We'll get back to playing some big stompy robots, and you know, I hope people find this kind of conversation useful. We sort of rambled on a little bit, but
The key thing is, don't get on the radar in the first place. When you interact, be respectful, polite, and try and humanize yourself as much as possible. And then the first time you ever get rumbled for something and it goes to court,
You fight
lawyer up.
You lawyer up and fight your ass off like your life depends on it, because it does.
Because that's your precedence.
Yeah. So, anyway.
Because another thing that you need to understand is if you lawyer up, that policeman has to be off for that day to attend court.
Oh yeah, and they don't like that.
They don't like that at all.
Well.
So, yeah.
Well, thanks for everybody for watching. We're gonna go play some more Mech 5. It's a fun game, and don't be assholes to each other. That's your lawyer's job. Everybody have a good evening.